Week 1 of fantasy football is finally here. It couldn't come soon enough. I'm Corey with FFCK, and I'm joined by Kyle and the professor here to talk about some booms and some busts. Guys, how are you doing?
Awesome.
Good. How are you, Corey?
Perfect, man. This is
so ready for this week, bro.
Absolutely. But let's try to get other people ready too. Let's talk about some booms and some busts for the week. Kyle, let's start with you. Who's the first player you want to talk about?
I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson. And they're playing San Francisco this week.
Ooh, Garrett Wilson against San Francisco. I think you're going to call him a boom for the week because I know how you love Garrett Wilson.
You would be incorrect.
Oh.
He's going to be a bust this week. And it's because not only San Francisco's defense is freaking amazing. We know this, right? Aaron Rodgers coming back off a torn Achilles, first game back. I think there's going to be some rust there. I don't think week 1 against San Francisco's defense is going to be very conducive to a lot of fantasy points.
All right. You had me on that one, man. Okay. This is going to be harder than I thought. All right, Professor, let's go over to you, Professor. Let's see who's the first player you want to talk about.
Well, Kyle just threw me my first softball. I had no idea Kyle was going with Garrett Wilson, but I'm going to say Aaron Rodgers for every reason he just said. I think, look, there's been a lot of talk in the Jets pre-off season. Aaron Rodgers, disconnect, lack of leadership, not building chemistry. I think as the season progresses, a lot of that's going to be absolutely fine. But I'm scared to death of this offense going into week 1 at San Francisco. Offensive line has some question marks. This defensive front end, they're going to put a lot of pressure on Aaron Rodgers, and I don't expect them to get a lot done through the air. So I'm with Kyle 100% on this one. I'm shying away both from Aaron Rodgers and I'll kind of double down with you, Kyle, on Garrett Wilson.
The only Jet you're playing this week is Breece Hall.
Well, Breece is unbenchable. I agree there.
Yeah, that's not an ideal matchup to come back to if you're Aaron Rodgers. That's for sure. All right, Tony, let's go with your next player. Who you want to talk about?
Well, let's go. Let's kind of flip it over and kind of stay with the same game and go a little bit more with the boom. A guy I really like in this particular game this week is George Kittle. George Kittle, of course, we all know his track record. He likes to give you those kind of high highs and low lows throughout the season. With the holdout with Ayuk, I expect Ayuk to be kind of really rusty, not really in sync with this offense. And historically, when we see players miss much of the offseason program, it takes them a while to get back into the flow of things. So I think this game is going to kind of really run around CMC, and they're going to get a heavy dose of Debo and George Kittle. The Jets are also a little suspect against a tight end position. So I'm looking for big things this week from George Kittle.
Yeah, I agree. Ayuk hasn't been there long enough. He's gotten, just a couple practices in. I think it's going to take a little bit for him to contribute the way that he usually does in that offense. So I like that Kittle pick. All right, Kyle, who's your next player then?
Well, first off, I have to give the professor a hard time because we're talking about Aaron Rodgers being rusty. We're a little rusty too. We forgot to have you do your guess of boomer bust on Kittle. He gave it away. Cheater. No, it's all good. Next guy I want to talk about is DeAndre Swift. Against Tennessee. What do you think?
Oh, that's so hard. I think you're going to say he's going to boom.
Wrong again.
I'm sucking at this game, man. I'm trying to I'm second guessing myself on everything.
You're thinking you're stinking, right? No, DeAndre Swift, man, Tennessee, traditionally pretty tough against the run.
Yeah.
They've been tougher against the run than the pass, that's for sure. But also this offense. And if you watch, our Wall Street Sell show with the professor over here, he spoke a little bit on it, but this offense is running through Caleb Williams and through the passing game. And you've also got Khalil Herbert, Rashawn Johnson. DeAndre Swift, first week against Tennessee is a little bit dicey to be trotting him out there. So beware.
Yeah, I actually kind of like Swift this season. I think he's going to get some receiving opportunities that makes him valuable. But against Tennessee, I think is a rough matchup, especially for week one. Caleb Williams still trying to figure it out a little bit, how to be an NFL player. So
Yeah.
I agree with you there. All right, Kyle, give me another player. Who's your next one?
Terry McLaurin against Tampa Bay.
Boom. Give me the boom. That's all you got left. I think my process
Has to be. Yep, I messed up, and I went both my busts first, so that was an easy guess. Dude, Scary Terry is already a monster. Tampa Bay was so easy to pass on last year. I think they're going to be pretty easy to pass on again this year. But Jahan Dotson, gone. Jaden Daniels, huge upgrade at QB over whatever, junior high QBs they've had the last, 2 decades. Yeah, I'm Scary Terry every week this year, man. But especially against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I love Scary Terry. And, man, he was a great value in drafts this year. He fell a little too far, and I was able to scoop him up in many a league, which I'm very excited about.
He might finally crack the top 10 in receivers this year in fantasy, finally. He's that kind of talent. He deserves to be up there. He just can't get nobody throwing the ball worth a damn, so...
All right, that might be a bit far for me, but I saw the professor's eyebrows maybe raise a little there too.
I said might.
Okay, I guess everyone's got potential. No one would have said that about Puka last year either, I guess. So, all right, Professor, give me your next player.
I'm going to give you a little bit of a double dose. I'm coming with a boom. I'm sorry, with a bust, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a boom on the back end as well. And that is this Arizona Cardinal offense, specifically James Conner. He's on my bust list this week. I think for a couple of reasons. Not that I'm down on Conner, but I just think with the game script of this game, with both the safeties for Buffalo out, Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, I think this is going to be a Kyler Murray game. So he's my boom on the back end. But they could be playing from behind quite a bit. Buffalo can be stiff against the run. I don't see them leaning heavily on James Conner in this matchup. And so I expect him to underperform. At the same time, I think we could see a really strong game from Kyler Murray. The one area where the Bills have been a little bit suspect is against rushing quarterbacks. And so we could see Kyler Murray finish, in the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks this week.
Yeah, I agree. Kyler Murray, I think everyone has forgotten how good Kyler Murray is on a fantasy football team with his rushing ability. The guy is quick and he can rack up some rushing yards. Another steal in drafts because I think people just let him slide too far. So I like that call there. All right, Tony, I think you got one more for me.
Yeah, I've got another boom for you, and that's going to kind of go to my Raiders. And
there's a boom on the Raiders?
Call out Zamir White, believe it or not. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting matchup. Going to be a great game to see Harbaugh. His first game coaching the Chargers. They're coming into this game. We already know that they want to run the football. The Raiders also want to run the football. I don't know if you've seen any video of Zamir White in his offseason, but this guy is jacked, man, and he's ready to eat some Chargers. So I expect a heavy dose of Zamir White this week. He's looked great in the offseason program. He's looked great in preseason. I think he's another guy who, kind of talking about value-wise, who could really outperform where he was drafted. The coaching staff trusts this guy. That's why they let Jacobs walk. And so we could see a mini breakout game here for Zamir White.
I agree. Real value pick in the drafts, and just a lot of question marks around what his usage is going to be. I tend to agree with you that they let Jacobs walk and they trust this guy more than people are giving him credit for. They've got some of these other backs that, of course, are going to take a little usage. Every team is doing that now, but I think Zamir White is your obvious lead runner in that backfield and is a great value there.
The fact, real quick, Corey, the fact that they drafted Alexander Madison tells you everything you know about how they feel about Zamir White.
Exactly.
Because Alexander Madison is not going to be a threat at all to the workload this guy's going to get.
Yep, 100% agree. All right, Kyle, give me your last boom here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I know you never thought you would see this guy on a boom list for me, but it's Najee Harris against Atlanta. I've always I've talked shit about Najee Harris more than probably any other player that's not an Eagle. And, like, I think the workload is going to be there this week with Jaylen Warren kind of fresh coming off of that hamstring issue. I think he's going to get a lot more carries this week than he probably will most weeks. And I don't think Atlanta's a super imposing defense. They're better than they have been in the past, sure. But an Arthur Smith revenge game, so to speak, that run game, I could see them feeding Najee the rock quite a bit. So, yeah, I like him this week.
Yeah, I mean, that Arthur Smith likes to run the ball, and Najee Harris is pretty decent at running the ball. Offensive line, we'll see how they hold up, but better quarterback play. And you nailed it with Warren probably not coming back at full strength quite yet, so they're going to probably give Najee some more work. So I like that pick. Hold on. What is this? I got a note being passed to me. Hold on. Tony has a bonus pick he wants to talk about. Of course he does. Okay.
Of course.
All right, Professor, give us this bonus pick.
I bring my A game right from week 1. There's a real quick little shot, and it's probably too late to grab this team on your waivers because of the matchup this week. But just a quick side note on DST. I know many times you kind of looking at the top 5. Everybody wants the Ravens, the Jets, the 49ers, but a real sneaky DST play for the beginning of the season is the Bengals. They've got some great matchups to start the season. Of course, we know that they play the Patriots this week. They also get the Commanders. They get the Giants. They get the Panthers. So they get 4 great matchups in the first 6 weeks. And many times, in your fantasy season, you got to start hot. So having that DST matchup already in place, it gives you a leg up on your all of your competition in the league.
Agreed. Don't underestimate the DST position.
For real.
I've won and lost by the DST. So if you can get a great matchup, go for it. Absolutely agree. All right, guys, appreciate you and appreciate you guys for tuning in for week 1 of Boom Bust Fantasy Football. If you need any more help, go to fantasyfootballadvice.com and join our community where we can answer your questions and you can help other players too. But just come hang out with us on our community platform. That's fantasyfootballadvice.com. Good luck this week, and we'll see you later.
See you.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.